Pretty Woman 2, the magic returns. They say true love never fades. It just waits for the right moment to return. And after more than 30 years, that moment has finally arrived. The streets of Beverly Hills are shining again, and a familiar face is stepping out of a limousine. The world remembers her smile, her charm, and her story. Now, the woman who changed everything is about to write her next chapter. The camera glides across the glowing lights of Los Angeles. The sound of traffic hums beneath the soft chords of a piano. The city feels alive again, like it's holding a secret. A black limousine stops at the edge of Rodeo Drive. The door opens slowly. A red stiletto heel touches the pavement. The screen fades to black before we see her face. A deep, steady voice begins to speak. 30 years ago, a love story changed how we saw the world. A businessman with everything, a woman with nothing but hope. And together they found something money could never buy, love. Clips flash Edward in his silver suit. Vivian's laughter echoing from the balcony. The red dress, the necklace that snapped shut with a click. The memories play like whispers of another time. The narrator continues. Now, time has passed. The city has changed. But some stories never truly end. A glimpse of Richard Gere's hand resting on a glass window, his reflection older, wiser, but filled with the same warmth. The soft smile of Julia Roberts walking down a hotel corridor, her eyes filled with memories and questions. The music builds as their paths seem to move closer again. Pretty Woman isn't just a story. The narrator says softly, it's a feeling, one that stayed with us for decades. And now it's back. The city lights blur into the shape of a heart as the voice continues. She was once a dreamer with nothing to lose. He was once a man afraid to love. Now both must face what time has changed. And what it hasn't. The trailer cuts between laughter, silence, and the slow rise of the classic Roy Orbison song. The narrator closes the first act. Their story began with chance. It returns with destiny. The screen fades to black. The text appears, Pretty Woman 2, the magic returns, time has passed, but love always leaves footprints. Edward Lewis, once the charming billionaire who thought money could solve everything, now sits alone in his glass tower, looking down at the city he once ruled. The reflection in the window shows more than age. It shows the weight of choices, the echoes of a smile he never forgot. Somewhere across town, Vivian Ward stands on a grand stage, speaking at a charity event that helps women rewrite their own stories. The crowd applauds, cameras flash, yet for a moment, her eyes drift away to a memory, a name. A feeling she buried long ago. The narrator's voice carries softly through the scene. Decades later, their worlds couldn't be more different. But destiny doesn't care about distance. It remembers promises that were never spoken. We see glimpses of a younger woman, their daughter, bold, confident, and determined to build her own path. She carries her mother's spirit and her father's ambition, unaware of how deeply their past still connects them. When her business deal unexpectedly brings her into Edward's company, old wounds begin to stir. The narrator continues. Life has a way of bringing people back to where they began. Not to repeat the past, but to understand it. The music grows tense, flashes of confrontation, teary eyes, and long silences. Edward's gaze softens as he sees Vivian again for the first time in decades at a charity gala, surrounded by light, laughter, and grace. Their eyes meet, and time stands still. The years melt away. The world around them fades. Love doesn't always stay in the same form, the narrator whispers. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes it waits. The trailer shifts in rhythm, showing the pull between memory and reality. Vivian questions whether their love was a beautiful moment or a lasting truth. Edward wonders if redemption is still possible when you've already lived a lifetime. As the music swells. The narrator ends the section. In a city built on second chances, two souls will face the one question that never fades. Can you fall in love again? With the same person? The screen cuts to black as the sound of soft laughter echoes in the distance. The night is quiet, but silence can be louder than any sound. Edward stands on the balcony of his penthouse, the same city below, yet everything feels different. The man who once believed in numbers and deals now stares at the stars, wondering if life has given him too much and love too little. Across town, Vivian sits by a window, watching the rain trace paths down the glass. She smiles softly, remembering a voice that once called her name like it was something precious. The narrator's voice is gentle, like a whisper of the past. They built their worlds apart, but hearts don't forget the rhythm they once shared. Time may have changed them, but not the truth that lives between them. We see flashbacks flicker like old film reels, Vivian laughing in the hotel suite, Edward fumbling awkwardly with a champagne glass, the joy, the chaos, the tenderness. Then it fades to the present, older faces, slower steps, deeper emotions. Their story isn't about youth anymore. It's about courage, the courage to love again when you've already learned how much it can hurt. Vivian's daughter confronts her one night. "Mom, are you still in love with him?" Vivian doesn't answer. She just looks out at the city lights, eyes glistening with both regret and hope. Meanwhile, Edward finds an old photograph, the two of them smiling, carefree, unaware of how rare that moment would become. He closes his eyes, and for the first time in years, he lets himself feel it all. The music swells, strings and piano blending into something raw and human. The narrator says, "Love isn't perfect. It's messy, it's painful, it's beautiful. But the bravest thing you can do is open your heart again." Vivian and Edward meet again, not in a luxury suite, but in a quiet bookstore. No crowd, no spotlight, just two souls who know what they've lost and what they might still find. She smiles. He breathes out a quiet laugh. And suddenly it's like they never left that fairy tale, except now. It feels real. The scene fades as the narrator's final words linger. They once found love in a dream. Now they must find it in life. Softly, the iconic guitar riff of "Oh, Pretty Woman" plays in the background, blending nostalgia with something new, something timeless. The music rises, not softly this time, but with power. A heartbeat rhythm echoes under cinematic strings. The city skyline glows like a memory reborn. The screen flashes, laughter, tears, slow-motion glances, and a kiss that almost happens but doesn't. Then silence. One heartbeat. The narrator's voice returns, deeper now, filled with emotion. 30 years later, love dares to return. Cut to Edward walking through the rain, coat over his shoulder, eyes searching. Vivian runs down the marble staircase of a gala, the same energy she had years ago, but wiser now. The camera spins around them, their paths about to cross once again. Flashbacks blend with the present, the red dress, the limo door closing, the song that once defined them. We see moments of conflict, raised voices, quiet tears, and the weight of time between them. Yet through it all there's something undeniable in their eyes. The narrator continues, "They've lived their lives, loved others, lost more. But some stories don't end, they wait." Quick cuts, Vivian's daughter watching from afar, Edward dropping everything to chase a chance he thought was gone, the old hotel sign flickering like it remembers them too. Then the music swells into a grand orchestral remix of "Oh, Pretty Woman," elegant, emotional, cinematic. The screen flashes text. From the creators who brought you the love story that defined a generation. Then, a second chance, 30 years in the making. The visuals explode with energy, red carpets, laughter under the city lights, an embrace that finally happens. The narrator's tone shifts to a whisper. She taught him to feel. He taught her to believe. And now? They'll both learn to begin again. The music slows. A single piano note rings out. Vivian looks at Edward, smiles, and says softly, "Some fairy tales deserve a sequel." Cut to black. On-screen text. Pretty Woman 2, 2025, Richard Gere, Julia Roberts. Love never gets old. The iconic guitar riff plays one last time. "Oh, Pretty Woman." Fading into the sound of applause and city lights, the narrator closes with the final line. Coming soon, a love story reborn for a new generation. Subscribe for more trailers and updates.